Every day we use objects so familiar that we rarely think about where they came from. A pen, a zipper, a toothbrush, they seem so basic, yet each has a history full of innovation, rejection, and reinvention. Behind their simple designs lie stories of trial and error, obscure inventors, and surprising origins that changed the world more than we realize. These tools weren't always part of daily life. Some were born from wartime necessity, others from strange scientific experiments or cultural shifts. And many of the people behind them were forgotten, overshadowed by corporate takeovers, historical bias, or the passage of time. Yet each invention reveals a piece of how society evolved. This video explores 10 ordinary technologies that carry extraordinary legacies. You'll discover how inventions like the alarm clock, the paperclip, and even the shopping cart were once radical, controversial, or completely overlooked. By the end, you'll never see these everyday items the same way again. The pen. From leaky mess to global staple. The ballpoint pen revolutionized writing, but it wasn't always so widely accepted. Before its invention, people used fountain pens or dip pens, which were elegant but messy and prone to leaking. In the 1930s, Hungarian journalist László Bíró developed a pen that used quick-drying ink and a rotating ball mechanism. It wrote smoothly and didn't smudge, but European manufacturers saw it as impractical. During World War II, the British Royal Air Force adopted Bíró's pens because they worked at high altitudes without leaking, unlike fountain pens. That military endorsement helped legitimize the invention. Eventually, the rights were bought by American companies, which improved the design and marketed it globally. The first mass-produced ballpoint pens were expensive and not very reliable. Over time, advancements in materials and ink consistency made them more efficient and affordable. Today, they're produced by the billions annually and used worldwide in schools, offices, and homes. Most people don't realize that this simple writing tool started as a wartime innovation. From failed prototypes to international standard, the ballpoint pen's journey proves that even the smallest inventions can leave a massive impact on how we communicate. The refrigerator, the cold revolution. Before mechanical refrigeration, people stored food in ice boxes or cellars and preserved perishables with salt, vinegar, or drying. The first artificial refrigeration systems appeared in the mid-1800s and used toxic chemicals like ammonia and sulfur dioxide, which posed serious health risks. Early refrigerators were large, loud, and dangerous, which made homeowners wary. In 1928, Thomas Midgley Jr. and his team developed Freon, a non-toxic refrigerant that made refrigerators safer for domestic use. This breakthrough led to increased public trust and mass adoption throughout the 1930s and 40s. By the mid-20th century, refrigerators had become standard in American homes. Refrigeration didn't just make life more convenient, it fundamentally changed how society operated. It allowed year-round access to fresh food, supported global food distribution, and played a key role in modern medicine by enabling vaccine storage and transport. Despite its benefits, early refrigerants like Freon were later linked to ozone depletion. This led to the development of environmentally safer alternatives. The refrigerator's history is a reminder that every great convenience often comes with hidden consequences. The mirror, reflecting society and science. Long before modern glass mirrors, ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Chinese, and Mesopotamians used polished metals or obsidian to view their reflections. These were rare luxury items associated with wealth, beauty, and even spiritual power. Glass mirrors emerged in the Roman era but were fragile and expensive. In Renaissance-era Venice, artisans developed a tin mercury coating technique on glass, producing the first high-quality reflective surfaces. These mirrors were incredibly valuable, and their manufacturing process was tightly guarded. Over time, the technology spread to France and beyond, leading to industrial competition. By the 19th century, the silvering process made mirrors more affordable and less hazardous to produce. As mirrors became accessible to the middle class, they influenced personal grooming habits, art, and architecture. They also had a profound psychological impact, giving people new ways to see and evaluate themselves. Today, mirrors are everywhere, from cars to satellites, and serve roles in fashion, science, and safety. Yet their historical journey from mystical objects to common household items is rarely appreciated. The alarm clock, enforcing the clockwork life. In ancient Greece, engineers created water clocks that could trigger mechanical alarms, but these were limited to temples and elite homes. Before modern alarm clocks, workers relied on sunrise or knocker-uppers, people hired to tap on windows with sticks to wake people for work. The first mechanical alarm clock was patented in the United States in 1876 by Seth E. Thomas. It allowed people to set a wake-up time, giving individuals control over their own schedules. During the industrial era, alarm clocks became essential for punctual factory labor. Later versions introduced the snooze button and electric designs, adapting to shifting work habits and technological trends. The alarm clock transformed daily life, structuring how people relate to time, sleep, and productivity. Though now often replaced by smartphones, the alarm clock remains a symbol of the modern world's demand for discipline and efficiency, an object born not from luxury, but necessity. The toothbrush. Bristles through the ages. The earliest toothbrushes date back to ancient China, where people used boar hair bristles attached to bamboo or bone. In other parts of the world, twigs, feathers, and even cloth were used for dental care. These tools weren't very hygienic and often damaged the gums. Toothbrushes spread to Europe in the 17th century but weren't widely adopted until the 20th. A major turning point came during World War II, when American soldiers were issued toothbrushes and expected to maintain dental hygiene. The habit stuck after the war. In 1938, DuPont introduced nylon-bristled toothbrushes, which were cleaner, softer, and easier to manufacture. Over time, toothbrushes evolved into electric models with timers, pressure sensors, and even Bluetooth connectivity. Today, brushing teeth is a routine act, but it took centuries of innovation and cultural change to make it universal. What began as a primitive tool became a pillar of public health and self-care. The umbrella, more than rain protection. Umbrellas were originally designed as parasols to block the sun, not the rain. In ancient Egypt, China, and India, they were status symbols reserved for royalty and the elite. These early umbrellas were made of silk or palm leaves and often richly decorated, carried by servants as signs of nobility. Rainproof umbrellas didn't become common until much later. In 18th century England, Jonas Hanway popularized the idea of using umbrellas during rainstorms. At the time, he was ridiculed for carrying what was then seen as a woman's accessory. His persistence helped normalize the umbrella for men in British society. With the advent of steel frames and waterproof fabrics in the 19th century, umbrellas became cheaper and more practical. Their mass production made them accessible to the middle class, transforming them into everyday necessities rather than elite fashion statements. Umbrellas even took on political symbolism, most famously in the 2014 Hong Kong umbrella movement. This everyday object became a tool of protest and resistance, showing how even a simple rain-shielding device can carry profound cultural meaning. The fork. From scandal to standard. The fork has a surprisingly controversial history. Although early versions existed in ancient Persia and Egypt, it wasn't widely accepted in Europe for centuries. In the 11th century, a Byzantine princess shocked Venetian society by using a fork at her wedding banquet. Religious leaders condemned it, claiming fingers were given by God for eating. The fork gradually gained acceptance among the Italian and French elite during the Renaissance. Its use spread across Europe as table manners evolved and foods became more refined. At first, it symbolized upper-class sophistication and modern hygiene. By the 18th century, forks were becoming common in Europe and the American colonies. Designs evolved, with tines adapted for different types of food, from meat to dessert. Eventually, entire etiquette systems were built around cutlery use. Today, the fork is a staple of Western dining, yet its path from suspicion to standard utensil highlights how culture and habit shape even our most basic tools. The paperclip. Small tool, big legacy. The classic double-looped paperclip, known as the gem design, was never patented, yet became the global standard by the early 20th century. Its simplicity and functionality made it indispensable in offices, schools, and homes. It's a perfect example of elegant industrial design. Norwegian inventor Johan Vayler created a similar design around 1899, but it was inferior to the gem model. During World War II, Norwegians wore paperclips as a silent symbol of resistance against Nazi occupation, turning the humble item into a patriotic icon. Despite its small size, the paperclip is incredibly versatile. It's been used to pick locks, press reset buttons, and even repair zippers. It's a quiet hero of everyday problem-solving. Its role in design history is also significant. The paperclip is often cited as an ideal of form-meeting function, minimalist, useful, and universally understood. It's an unsung triumph of practical creativity. The zipper, a struggle to catch on. The zipper's earliest version, called the clasp locker, was patented by Whitcomb Judson in 1893, but it was clunky and unreliable. It wasn't until 1913 that Gideon Sundback improved the design, creating a fastener with interlocking metal teeth that worked efficiently. Initially used in boots and tobacco pouches, the zipper wasn't considered fashionable. But when the US military adopted it for gear and uniforms in World War I, its reputation changed. It gained wider acceptance in civilian clothing by the 1930s. Fashion designers began using zippers in jackets, trousers, and dresses, praising their speed and convenience. Over time, zippers appeared in luggage, tents, and even aerospace suits. They became essential in both everyday life and high-tech environments. The zipper's transition from novelty to necessity underscores how practical innovation can slowly reshape habits and expectations, even in fashion. The shopping cart. The sales booster on wheels. In 1937, Sylvan Goldman invented the first shopping cart to help customers carry more items in self-service grocery stores. Inspired by a folding chair, his cart had a metal basket on wheels. At first, people were reluctant to use it. Men thought it looked weak, and women compared it to a baby stroller. To combat this resistance, Goldman hired models to push carts around his store, making them look trendy and practical. The tactic worked. Soon, other stores adopted carts, and manufacturers began improving the design with larger baskets, swiveling wheels, and child seats. Shopping carts changed the retail landscape. They allowed stores to grow in size and encouraged bulk buying, laying the foundation for the supermarket boom and consumer culture in the post-war era. Even today, shopping carts remain largely unchanged in form. Their design has stood the test of time and consumer behavior, an unassuming tool that transformed how we shop. The technologies we use daily are so woven into our routines that we rarely stop to consider their origins. Yet, each of these ordinary items has a history marked by invention, resistance, and transformation. Their paths were shaped by wars, social trends, failed prototypes, and bold visionaries who dared to challenge the status quo. By exploring the forgotten pasts of tools like the pen, the mirror, or the zipper, we rediscover the human effort behind everyday convenience. These stories show us that innovation doesn't always begin with brilliance. It often starts with frustration, necessity, or even accident. Understanding these legacies helps us appreciate the present. The alarm clock isn't just a gadget. It's a symbol of industrial discipline. The paperclip isn't just a piece of wire. It's an icon of minimalist design and even resistance. Each object carries more than function. It carries a piece of us. So the next time you brush your teeth, open your fridge, or push a shopping cart, remember, you're holding history in your hands. What seems ordinary today was once revolutionary, and may well shape the future again.